Guys, we're really excited to be here. I'm Jason Otts. What we're going to do is we're going to go over property management. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what you can expect from a property management company, how to work with your property manager, kind of go over expectations and how it all works. And you might take home some ideas. You might go to your property manager and go, hey, I heard this is something that we could do. So just kind of give you some ideas and then rehearse with it. Okay, so we're going to talk about marketing. Different ways of marketing property, what's the most expensive thing for landlords, and ways that ONEprop, how we market our clients' properties. And questions you should ask either your management company or potential management companies or yourself if you're self-managing. We'll talk about tenant screening, which I think is one of the most important things that any company has to offer or any landlord needs to do. We'll also talk about the property management aspect as well as the repairs and the accounting side of it. Okay. What is the most expensive cost for a landlord? Normally on this slide I have it where you don't know the answer and I ask you and you guys all got to guess and you're all going to get it wrong and then I come in with a big surprise and tell you. But there it is right there. There's the answer. Anybody have any idea why? Anybody agree with this or disagree with this? You get vacancy, right? Yeah, that's what we're trying to avoid. Because what are we trying to do? What are we trying to do? Trying to make money. If the property is vacant, are we making money? No. What are we doing? We're losing money because we still got to make that payment. Even if the house is paid clear and free, there's still taxes involved, insurance, there's still cost involved, right? So one of the biggest enemies to a landlord is vacancy. Okay. How do we avoid vacancy? I can't tell you how many times we put a property on the market or we'll talk to someone who's looking to invest in real estate and they might have different ideas of marketing. It might be vacant at the time and they're looking to market it and they're saying, this neighborhood I know is going for $1,800, but I want to put my property on the market for $2,100. And oh, by the way, the carpets, I think we get away with a shampoo. What's going to happen with this property? She's laughing over here. What's going to happen with this property? It's probably going to sit vacant, right? Because next door neighbor's house is going for $1,800 with brand new carpet in it. So these are items that your property manager, when they look at the marketing aspect, they might walk the property. This is what we do with our clients. We walk the property, we look at it, and we say, this carpet looks pretty old and dingy. We don't think a shampoo will save it. But in order for you to get the top dollar rent at what the comps are going for, so instead of aiming for that $2,100, hoping to hit it out of the park, which isn't realistic, we're going to bring you back down to $1,800 and tell you how to get to that $1,800 and make those recommendations. Because we're trying to reduce what? Vacancy. So that's days on the market. We want to get that rent coming in. So I can't tell you how many times we'll see someone who will try to go for that home run, try to cut out on the repairs or whatever needs to be done on the property, the upgrades, and then what happens when it sits for a month? Did that just cost them money? How much money did that just cost them? Good chunk. What's a good chunk? Let's think about it. $1,800 of rent that they just lost that they should have got. What else? Mortgage payment if they're making a mortgage payment. So not only did they lose $1,800 lost rents, but they also had to make a mortgage payment. There's insurance, taxes, and there's a lot of stuff. So vacancy, you see where vacancy adds up pretty dang quick? That's right. Okay. So the other thing that we see as well that's very important, just like any company, a car dealership, what do they need to do when they have a product they need to push? What do we see? Advertisements, right? Advertisements. So in Texas, there's this funny Kia commercial. They're pretty aggressive. I don't know if they're like that out here, but there's one guy out there who's really just obnoxious out there, and he's like, I don't care how you get here, folks, just get here, and just real loud and obnoxious, right? That's advertising. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to you guys own rental properties. We have to advertise it. So how do we advertise it? How do your property managers advertise it? How do you plan on advertising? So those of you who leased out your own properties, what did you guys do? Who's that? You said Craigslist? Okay, Craigslist. Why did you use Craigslist? It's free. Okay, what else? Okay. Anybody else use anything else? Sign in the yard. Okay. So how many of you guys use the property management company right now? Show me again. How does your property management company advertise your property? Do you? MLS, okay. Why do you think that is? Why do they advertise different than what you guys were advertising? Any idea? Okay, yeah, they're realtors. Yeah. Yeah. What somebody said something over here?
Better tenants.
Okay. You guys hear that? Better tenants. Now, why would you think there would be better tenants?
More legitimate source.
Okay. So we see that as well. We actually do not advertise on Craigslist. If Craigslist works for you, that's fine. We don't do Craigslist. We do websites like hotpads.com, rentals.com. We see Trulia, Zillow. But where we do a lot of our sourcing for tenants is on the MLS. We put it out there, and we advertise the MLS. We have a great reputation amongst the markets that we're in, amongst the realtors out there, because we pay their commissions. When they bring a tenant to us, we'll pay their commissions. I can't tell you how many phone calls I get where a realtor will talk to a client who's relocating, or they're looking to downsize or get a bigger home because they're having a baby. And it's a great client who makes good money, he's got good credit, and this realtor's calling ahead of time saying, hey, this client's well qualified. Do you have anything coming up? We're able to plug them in together real quick. Now, why do these realtors want to call us? Why is that? Commission, and we can all agree on that. Commission, right? Because we're getting paid for it. So what are we doing? Who are we employing? We're employing professionals to work for us, right? We're paying their commission. That's essentially what we're doing. So we're not taking a shortcut. What are we reducing by doing that? Vacancy, right? So we're reducing that vacancy, which is the most expensive cost, right? So that's what we're trying to do there. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see this, and I like to throw this in here. Anybody see that? It's always good to disclose things on your home, right? That's a real listing. Can anybody see that? You see that in the back? It's a real listing. It says not haunted. So it's good to disclose that your home is not haunted, apparently. Let's talk a little bit about screening. Those of you who at one time or are self-managing, how do you screen your tenants? What are you guys doing? Okay, calling employers. What else? Previous landlords. Okay, so you're doing a rental history check? Credit reports. Where are you getting the credit reports? What's that? From the tenant themselves? Okay, so you have them pull it and then bring it to you. Okay. Anybody else? So we'll talk a little bit about, as far as screening, what we do is, and I'll jump to the next slide real quick. We check their credit check. We do a criminal history check. We check the national sex offender list. Employment verification, rental history. So I heard spots of different people doing that, checking that. Why do we check those things? So, what are we trying to reduce? Vacancy, right? So, do rental histories help that? Yeah, they do. We're looking for well-qualified tenants, right? So, what's the other thing we want to do? Protect the investment. How does protecting the investment, how does doing a background check protect the investment? Any ideas? Are human beings creatures of habit? We are, right? We are creatures of habit. We don't just one day decide, I'm going to be the worst tenant in the world today. I've been a good tenant for the last 10 years. I'm going to be one today. I'm going to just throw my credit out the window today. No, we do. We show a history of that. And that's what we're doing. That's how we protect the investment. When we talk to the previous landlords, what are some of the questions we want to ask? Do they have evictions? Did you have to evict them? Did you ever file? Did they leave the property owing money, or did their security deposit cover it? These are all questions we want to know, right? Because we're doing our due diligence. Because we're trying to protect our investment. Okay? What should we expect from a tenant? So when we're doing these background checks, these screenings, what makes a reasonable tenant? What's that? Pay the rent. We want them to pay their rent. So, what's that?
In full.
In full. That's right, in full.
And their utilities.
And their utilities. The partial ones are fun to deal with. So, Should a tenant have perfect credit? Should we take the highest credit score that we can get? What's that? I'm seeing some no's, some yeses. We'll jump into that next slide. We'll do a scenario where we look at it, okay? So what about job history? Should they have good job history? Steady job history, right? Is that what you're looking for? Yeah. I mean, these are all kind of basic ideas, but when it comes down to it, what gets in the way when we're making these decisions? When we're looking at somebody and we're making these decisions, what gets in the way? I'll tell you in my case. So when I had my investment property, what got in my way was me. I mix personal feelings with business feelings, right? Anybody ever done that? You don't have to admit it. Don't admit it. Oh, just kidding. So I did that, okay? I bought my first rental property, and we had fixed it up. We had put tile floors throughout, trying to do what we call bulletproofing the home, making it to where, you guys know, you don't want carpet in main areas. So what we were doing was we were getting it ready to be a great rental. And I was there one day painting it myself. First of all, that was a mistake I was making. I was painting it myself. I am not a painter. I'm terrible at it. So I was painting myself. My wife was helping me. And so we're there painting, and this couple pulls up. We had our for rent by owner sign out in the yard, and I don't even think I'd mowed the yard in like 2 weeks. So they pull up, they walk in, and she goes, my husband and I are looking to rent a property. You know, we're looking to start a family, and he works for Cracker Barrel. Right now, he's doing the contract. He's building, do you guys know what Cracker Barrel is? Do they have Cracker Barrel here? Okay, so he was building the Cracker Barrels throughout Texas. And so he was a construction guy, and he talked about things that made me, yeah, you know what you're talking about, because I didn't know what he was talking about, so I figured he knew what he was talking about. So he comes and goes, oh, I can finish painting this for you, and we could finish, I was putting in baseboards, we can do all that for you. Can you make us a deal? Can you skip out on the security deposit? Can you waive that? I'm like, all right. I'm like, that's fine. You know, and I had a good feeling about it. They were a young couple. My wife and I had only been married for a couple years, so we felt what they were going through. They deserved a house, right? Right? So we felt that pain. So we're like, yeah, we're gonna let them go ahead and take. This is great. See, I told you I didn't need to have a property management company. I did it myself. I didn't even have to do the painting at all. I got away from that. I had figured out the system. Okay? So it wasn't less than a month later, a couple months later, I received this. This right here I carry with me. This is from 2006. It says, December 2nd, 2006 for $1,000. But here in the subject line, you'll read very clearly, it says November's payment. We're already off to a great start, right? So what happened was, her mom had passed away. She just called me and says, hey, we can't pay rent. My mom passed away. And I'm feeling really bad. And I'll get into the next slide, what we did after that. But what happened here? So we'll pick up that story next segment. But what happened? What did I do wrong? Help me out, guys. I let my emotions get, I got personally involved, right? I said, these guys are good people. Good people. Okay. What are we running here? We're running a business, right? That's right. Was I treating this like a business? No. That was probably the first mistake I made. Now, what was the next thing I did? What did I let them do? I didn't make them give me a security deposit, because why? What were they going to do? They were going to finish painting, do the baseboards for me, right? I had a deal. What else did I do wrong? I'm missing something that I did not do. I actually did do a lease. I forgot to tell you. I actually did have a lease written up. One that I Googled and found. I don't even really know what it said, but I Googled it and found it. So what did I do wrong? What did I forget to do? I didn't do any type of screening at all. Because, man, I felt good about them. They were like us. My wife and I newlyweds. They were just, heck, we even thought about hanging out with them. Talk about taking it to a whole nother level personal. So I didn't do any of this. I didn't check their criminal history, their good job history, their rental mortgage history. I didn't do any of that. So let's jump to a scenario real quick, okay? We got tenant A and tenant B. Here's tenant A. They're relocating. 740 credit score. relocated from out of state for a promotion. This is the real scenario that we had. So this person was relocating. They were taking over the Texas area to be a regional sales rep. All the background checks looked great. So we recommended 1 month security deposit because the risk was low. Now we also had another tenant apply for the same property, tenant B. They had a 590 credit score, recent foreclosure, all background checks, they were fine, so no criminal history, anything like that. We recommended 2 months security deposit since they had some issues. Okay, how many of you guys would take tenant A? How many of you guys would take tenant B? Now those of you who would take tenant A, why would you take tenant A? Don't be shy. What's that? Numbers are better on the credit, okay. They have a job to come in, right? You just got a promotion, okay? Those of you who take tenant B, why would you take tenant B? Someone said 2 months security deposit. That's what I heard. You said that, right? Okay, that's a very legitimate reason. Okay? Vacancy. Who's going to be in this property longer? Tenant B is. Why? What do they have? A recent foreclosure. I forgot your name back there. I'm sorry. You did the mortgage presentation. Shayla, how long after a tenant goes to a recent foreclosure, how long before they can buy a home? How long?
4 years.
4 years. So what are they going to be looking to do in the next 4 years? Rent. And try to do what? Because at one time they were a homeowner. You think they want to return to being a homeowner again? Absolutely. So they're going to try to build their credit. So they need good rental history. So they're going to be a little more motivated. But not only are they going to be motivated to pay because they want to build that to be able to buy a home, but the other reason is you've got 2 months of their security deposit. So they have more skin in the game. Just like you guys have to put that down payment on, same thing. That's what they're looking at. They've got skin in the game. Okay? All right. So going back to this. Now I'm going to finish my story. So understanding your relationship. We're going to jump into property management. Understanding your relationship with that tenant. Now you've got tenant B in the property. Of course, you want to screen them and whatnot. Okay? If you're self-managing, you're the property manager. If you have a property management company, you should expect them to treat it as a professional relationship. Okay? So, she calls and says, my mom just died. We're late on rent. Okay, I don't have a security deposit. I'm like, man, what are we going to do? My wife's like, I feel really bad. Well, me too. What are we going to do? We should make them lasagna. That's what every reasonable landlord would do, right? Her mom just died. So we made her lasagna. So we go over to the house, knock on the door. I'm like, hey, sorry about your mom. And she opens the door. She's like surprised to see us there. We lived only like 10 minutes away from this property. She opens the door, and I'm like looking in like this, and I'm like, those walls are red. They weren't red when we were painting them. So I'm like, oh, maybe he's building Cracker Barrel. He knows what he's doing. All right, give him a benefit of the doubt. She's like, oh, thanks, it's tough, blah, blah, okay. So we leave. Hey, when are you going to be able to get the payment in? Oh, she's like, I'll get it in soon. So no rent comes in that first month they're there. The first month they're there, no rent. So the next month comes along, and that's when she kind of partial pays, going back to that partial payment when you said that. Partial pays. I'm like, okay, this is getting tough. And then a couple months later comes down the road again. Guess what? She calls me back. Still hasn't caught up from the first month. It's going awful. She calls me back and says, my mom just passed away. I'm like, oh, heck no. I was like, this is terrible. I can't believe this. She's like, my mom just passed. I'm sorry, I can't make it around. I'm like, you said that like 4 months ago. She goes, you know how you catch somebody in a lie? You know how you know? It was the stutter. I was like, oh man, we've been duped. We made her lasagna, the best lasagna. Wife makes pretty good lasagna. So, we had been duped. What did we not realize? Were we understanding the manager and tenant relationship? Was I? No, I wasn't. And that's where it's crucial. I can't tell you how many times we see where investors or management companies fail because they're making deals with the tenant. It's so hard to keep up with all the deals and everything that's going on. So you got to understand that this is a business, right? If a tenant fails to pay rent, should they be living there? Unfortunately not. I know that sounds hard, but that's the way it is. And so we got to understand that. that relationship. I was failing to do that. And that's why I carry around this check. That reminds me of that. So very important to always keep that in mind, is understanding that relationship. So now, communication. Now let's say you have a good tenant that's living there. How should communication be with your tenants? Timely and effective communication. What does that mean? I can't tell you how many times I'm with somebody and their phone rings and they go, oh, I know what that means, right? What do you guys say when you see your property manager or the phone call coming in? You know what it means, right? It's rough. But it's important to maintain that communication with them. You know, have that communication with your property managers. Because also at the same time, if you have a good paying tenant, what also do you need to provide? A good customer service. Because you want them to do what at the end of their lease? Renew, right? The magical renewal word. Okay? So that's why we maintain that communication with them. If you guys are managing your properties and you're the property manager, your number one goal is to collect the rent. Okay? What about bookkeeping? So when I ran my own property, I did the shoebox accounting. Anybody ever done that? Where you got all the receipts in the shoebox and whatnot. That's what I did. You should expect from your property management company, this is how ONEprop does it, is we do monthly accounting. We send our clients monthly statements every month. We also will send them annual statements. When we collect the rent, we direct deposit the rent to their bank account. It's electronic. So they know, they just look and there it is. So these are some of the things you'd expect from your property management company. Or if you're self-managing, you should be doing monthly accounting. Treat it like your own company. You're going to send yourself statements, annual statement. It makes accounting easy. Or I hear a lot of investors doing QuickBooks. Okay, let's talk about repairs. This is always a fun one. So, an emergency repair comes up. How do you know what an emergency is? Does the city determine what emergency is? Does the state determine what emergency is? Or does the federal government determine what emergency is when you're renting a property? Who determines the emergency out of those three? All of them do. You have to know the local laws, as well as the state laws, as well as the federal laws. Okay? So I'll give you guys an example. One of my favorite examples to share in Texas. Okay? So it's August. Now I know hot here is 80 degrees. Is that right? Is that what hot is? That's what I've been hearing. I heard last week you guys had 80-degree weather and everyone was flipping out. So when it's 80-degree weather in Texas, we're like on the patio. We're enjoying it. We're like, this is great. I hope it stays around forever. Hot in Texas is 100 degrees, humidity, sweating. So what happens is, it's July 4th, Friday night, tenant's AC goes out, 10 o'clock at night. In Texas, 10 o'clock at night, it doesn't get cool. We're lucky if it gets down to just right above 90. So it's still really hot. So your tenant's calling, it's an emergency. I need somebody out here right now. So you call your AC guy, he can't get out there. He's got other stuff he's doing. Now they're saying it's an emergency. Now you're kind of scared, right? Like, what if this is an emergency? What if something happens? So in the state of Texas, and I always ask this to all the Texas investors when I teach this class, I ask them, is that an emergency? What do you guys think? Yeah, these are things you expect your property management company to know. This is why property management companies are crucial at this time, because how they treat this and what they do. So technically, the state of Texas does not consider this an emergency. Now, if it's 100 degrees outside and the water heater goes out, the state of Texas considers that an emergency. It's kind of funny, right? But you have to know these different laws and these different rules. So that's one of the things, is knowing those laws and those rules. Okay, I want to jump over to this because we're running low on time. When it comes to accounting on properties, if you're self-managing or your property management company, IRS requires if someone works on your property and they do over $599 of work, you got to send them a 1099. Your property management company should be doing that. We do that for our clients, so they don't have to deal with that. Again, trying to avoid that shoebox management, that shoebox accounting. Talked a little bit about the statements, but one of the things that we do for our clients that they absolutely love, as a property management company in different states, you guys can't just jump in a car and go check on your property. And sometimes it's difficult because different time zones. We have some investors that are in Australia. different parts of the world that just can't pick up a phone and call because it's the middle of the night here or just time differences. But one of the things we do is we have a great property management software that we use that works through our website, and our clients can log into our website and they can see if the rent's been paid on their property. They can see if their tenants are making repair requests. So it makes it really easy to know what's going on. Run rent reports, expense reports, have an idea what's going on.